With the news of Myles Brennan's injury, and it's not going to affect LSU. They're not going to have a game this weekend, it looks like. But you got a chance to see up close and personal both Max Johnson and TJ Finley. And Ed Orgeron has been very diplomatic and pretty much right down the middle with the reps, according to what he said. So give us your thoughts on the two quarterbacks and where they might be in their development.
Well, I think watching them as high school prospects, it was kind of two very different stories, I would think. I mean, TJ Finley was very, very highly touted early on, committed really early in the 2020 class to LSU, as did, Max Johnson was a couple months behind him, or a few months behind him in terms of committing. But both were committed very early to LSU, and two very different prospects. I mean, not just, with Max Johnson being a lefty and TJ Finley being a right-handed quarterback, but just kind of their style. And TJ is he's got the big, body that he's slimmed down reportedly. Ed Orgeron, praised him for the work he did to come in and slim down over the course of the off season, because he was a big body. I mean, he was, he is all of 6'5", and he was about probably 250 pounds or so there as a high schooler, and he's trimmed down, and that's something that he definitely needed to do. And hopefully it helped with his quickness and being able to move in the pocket a little bit more. But he's got a big arm. He's always been able to throw it, probably about 60, 70 yards and kind of do it relatively effortlessly. But the thing about TJ was, during the course of his high school career, you want to see a little bit more consistency in terms of accuracy. I think sometimes his game kind of fell off a little bit when they played some tougher competition. And his senior year, he had some huge games, and he had some games where it didn't go as well. And then Max Johnson on the other side really improved just over the course of his high school career. In his junior year, he was throwing to, a bunch of Shea Dixons and Billy Embodies for that junior year. They were so decimated by injuries. And then you look at his senior year, and he comes back and he has a really strong completion percentage. He leads his teams to a state championship game appearance, and just really put everything together that he's got. He's a terrific athlete. He's got a 36-inch vert, tests really well, and Ed Orgeron has shared that about him as well, that he's got that ability to run and make plays with his feet. So they're pretty different guys in terms of what they'll bring to the table whenever we do see them suit up on the field for LSU. But obviously, with the news coming down that this game is going to be postponed, it's not going to be this weekend at least.
Billy, all summer we talked about Eric Gilbert, B.J. Ojulari, probably the two most guys in this class that we spent time on, and they're playing, and they're having a big impact on LSU. But as you look at this class as a whole, are you surprised maybe that some guys aren't playing more, and do you have a couple of names in mind?
Yeah, I think sorry, you kind of broke up there at the end. Eric Gilbert and B.J. Ojulari.
Yeah, other guys that maybe aren't playing as much, because that's the two guys we knew were going to play. We knew they'd kind of make an impact. Any freshmen that you're surprised they're not playing right now?
I think with some of the offensive linemen, like Marlon Martinez, I thought he would get the start at left guard after he played against Vanderbilt. That was one that surprised me that they went with Charles Turner, although Charles has really developed over the course of the past really year and a half, packing on all that weight. I think you've seen Keyshawn Butte show some flashes. I thought he would be more of an instant impact guy than what he's been. But look, that's a credit to John Trey Kirkley and Racing Matthew Ray Jenkins stepping up. I would think Eric Taylor, with where they're at on the defensive line, is somebody that they probably want to see more out of. He's got such a big frame, and he's really tough to move off the ball. So he was one. And then finally, I would say Dwight McLovin, the other corner in that class with Eli Ricks. That was one that I think after they got torched by Mississippi State, corner's a position I think you can kind of roll out there and just kind of see what you've got. And I thought they would probably try that with just about everybody after that game. But so I'm a little surprised we haven't seen him at least get a shot to show what he could do.
All right, Billy, let's take a look at this class. We want to have you on today because right now LSU's out to a 1-2 start. Obviously 15-0 last year. You get a big-time recruiting class. This year still sits in the top 5 recruiting class. But when you're trying to recruit and you're not having success on the field, do you think that could hurt this class coming in, or could freshmen see that as a potentially quicker way to get on the field?
Yeah, there's two ways to look at it, right? I mean, that's kind of always the thing about it is and I actually talked with Matthew Langlaw, who just picked up an LSU offer last week. He's out of New Roads, and he's really put together a terrific senior year. So he picks up an LSU offer, and one of the messages has been you can come in and probably make an early impact in the secondary because of the way the safety position is kind of at where it's at right now. And that's been LSU's message. And you look at the offensive line, they've got one commit on the offensive line, and Garrett Dellinger, who's having a really strong senior year, but they need more. And I think you look at where the class is without other offensive linemen committed, and it's a huge concern because you don't know what the 2019 class is going to look like. I mean, Thomas Perry was banged up last year. Cardell Thomas was banged up last year. Anthony Bradford needs to cut down on his weight as well. And I mean, that whole class is really a big question mark for the most part. And so they need to get offensive linemen in there and build more depth. So that's a position where you can sell opportunity, you can sell playing time, and say, here's where we're at on our depth chart. We need guys who can make an impact right away. On the flip side of it, I think the first 3 games you've seen, I mean, the offense has been moving the ball, but there are still, concerns, I would think. But defensively, Bo Pelini has a lot to fix and a lot to, get right on a defense that should be much better than it is. And so I think on the defensive side of the ball, it's concerning. I don't think they're necessarily going to have too many issues recruiting on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively, I mean, it's people are watching. And I mean, you look at, Mason Smith and Corey Foreman and Sage Ryan and some of these other elite defensive prospects. And, they're going to have to really pitch early playing time and the ability to change the way this defense is playing because of them, rather than the system and I think consistency for the most part that Dave Aranda had built.
Billy Embodies, I guess. Billy, before we let you go, Will Wade had his pre-practice, I guess, kind of a de facto media day yesterday, mentioned that they'd like to pick up player signees in the early period. Just kind of an overview of who LSU might be zeroing in on as we head toward the early signing period.
Yeah, I think one name that has come on here as of late is Bryce McGowens, who just decommitted from Florida State, a really talented, probably maybe a little bit of a wing. And they've already got Brandon Murray committed out of IMG, who's a really talented prospect. But McGowens is a 5-star, 6'5", 175, and everybody in the country seems to be circling him now that he's decommitted. I mean, he's had Kansas, Kentucky, LSU, Oregon, Georgia, you name it. He's had those schools reach out to him since he's decommitted from Florida State. Will Wade had a virtual visit with him this week, and so they're turning up the heat there. I think that's one name to watch for sure. A lot of guys made decisions as of late. You saw 5-star point guard J.D. Davison go to Alabama. You saw 5-star Jabari Smith end up going to Auburn, an LSU legacy. So they've got some other guys that I'm sure they're in on early, but I would imagine most of the guys that they've got committed already are going to end up signing in that early signing period, and it'll be a good little haul for them in that early signing period.
Did you say McGowens is 6'5", 175?
Yeah, but
get him some gumbo, man.
Yeah, they need to get him with Greg Golden if they do get him, because he's got to put on some weight. I mean, that's the good thing about basketball players, though, man, is I would rather them look like that and you get them into a college weight program and you build them up and, they leave, whether it's 2 years out or if you're one and done or whatever, but they just have a tendency to be able to put on weight once they get into these college nutrition programs.
Billy Embody, we appreciate your time. Go 247. Thanks a lot, and we will talk with you soon.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good one.